Hi, it's June. It's my second month at the residency, and I'm going to spend much of this month waiting for my pieces to dry and sending them for firing and to glazing. And at the same time, I'm also gonna explore certain new techniques in some of the pieces that I'm making, especially learning how to apply different textures to my work. So you see much of the process through this month's vlog. And I'm also planning to do an open studio before my residency ends, just to kind of consolidate and showcase all the works that I've done during my 2 months here. So stay tuned for that. Hi, so I am exploring a new method today. Yesterday when I was back in the studio, I managed to create a new series of work called Bloated. So I used the brown clay and I created about 5 different pieces. I would like to add some textures to these pieces. So I'm going to do that with some of the rocks that I found. There's 3 little rocks, which I'm gonna try and create textures with. I kind of like it because it's quite easy to produce the textures just by rolling the rocks on the surface. So I was wondering if I would try to paint with slip from another clay. So I do have white clay. Look at the difference. Right, this is of course unfired yet. So I'm wondering if I could use some of the slip that I have on my white clay to paint on these pieces. Do a very thin layer and dab. Making sure it's slightly even. Hi, today is the day that my pieces are done firing and I'm ready to open my clan. It's the first time I'm doing a full batch of firing by myself, so I'm kind of nervous and excited at the same time. Not sure how it will turn out because it's new clay and also new ways of doing things. And well, we'll see. Here we go. Turned out pretty well. Today is the day I'm opening my clan. So I set it for glaze firing, and I'm not so sure how it turned out. They're out, but it's not really how I expected it to turn out. So let's talk about the first clay that I got. It's this local clay in Finland, just finished red clay. It's a low-fired earthenware, and if you've seen some of the earlier works that I've done, you notice that it comes out to this very dark gray color. But this is how it looks like when it's fired. This is the very first piece, right? This is the very first piece that I've done during my time here. Honestly, I love this. I think the color came out slightly less red than I expected. It came out to this almost orangey color, which I like it. Right, this is quite a heavy piece. Next clay that I bought, I think I always wanted to try speckled clay. So speckled clay are clay that once you fire, there's this like black brown dots within it, and you can't really see it during when you're playing or building with the raw clay. right? It came out not entirely how I would envision it to be. So let me show you the test um, cubes that I've made. Right, this are the white clay, right? And you can see the black dots all over, which is kind of cute. I think for smaller pieces, it's kind of cute. It's almost like fractal pieces. This is one of the bigger pieces that I made. Right, I haven't talked about this as much. This is the piece that I was so unsure about after sculpting it, because I think this was a practice for coiling, right? My coiling practice when I'm here. And this is probably the biggest hands I've ever sculpted, right? And then I had this almost again inspired by nature, tree trunks, kind of like texture carved on it. And with this white clay, when I first saw it out of the glue, I really have no idea what to feel about it. I don't entirely hate it, but it's just very different from what I imagined. I think what I didn't like most is because perhaps the speckles are too sparse compared to the brown clay that I did back at home. So I think that's the part that I don't really love. But again, it's like now that I'm coming back to it, um, it it's starting to grow on me a little bit. Then let's move on to glazes. I've bought this two bots glaze, and it came out supposedly nice. These are cracked um, glazes, clear cracker glazes, and this one is a light blue clear cracker glaze as well. Yeah, but I think perhaps I didn't get the instructions quite clear. As in, I applied two coats instead of three coats, and it's not as visible. Let me show you. So this was supposed to be the white cracker clay, but instead, I think it just feels like it's a transparent gloss. Sorry, it just feels like it's a transparent gloss clay. It's kind of cute, not gonna lie. It's kind of cute. And what didn't work, I don't know if I've shown you yet. This was another happy accident which I was messing around before I sent it for firing, and I drop it onto the floor so you can see like this chip of the top, right? Which I love it. I think before I sent it for firing, I kind of like the happy accident. And then I applied the blue cracker clay, and it comes up to this like matte, weirdly matte, with a few pigment of blue texture. So this is in comparison. Zoom. And this is in comparison with this, right? And I call this the parts, right? They were supposed to be together. It's 2 feet. And I kind of went a bit experimental to try and do them in the both different glazes, and you can see how different it turns out. The blue cracker glaze of course didn't came out that well, and this one just feels like transparent, but oh, actually you can see a bit of that crackling. I don't know if you can see it here. So all in all, I think the glazes didn't come out really well on this clay. And then let's talk about my last bag of clay, which is the brown clay, which is an interesting batch that I'm still trying to process. So let me show you what it looks like if I leave it to dry when I work. It's actually pretty brown, right? You can see it's so brown. But when I fire it, when it comes out, it's actually such a light brown color to it, right? It's so subtle. And also super love that the subtle textures that I apply using the rocks. So, but I wasn't very sure about the colors. Some pieces, I think the smoother pieces definitely came out nicely. I think quite love this bloated series. Right. And then you can see this is also one of the other textured series that I've played with. And not entirely sure. And this is also one of my favorite shapes that I always love to create. This is just so nice to hold this. Yeah. And you can see this is the painted look of it. Right, a bit of speckle. Some came out nicer. I think those that I didn't paint as much came out really nice. Right, but those that perhaps I painted more, it blends in too well with the light brown finish, so it doesn't look any much of a difference. Talk about the glaze version of it. So again, I tried with, which is very surprising, clear cracker clay glaze. It just again comes out as though it is just transparent glaze. So it has this gloss finish, but look how much darker it is, right? Look how much darker it turned out. This is unglazed, like how faint it is, and then how dark it became with that 2 layers of coating. And I can't really see much of the crackle, but it has that very interesting effect to it. And I do like this. I do like this darker brown. And accidentally, I think there's this piece that didn't survive the clean, right? It was this together, but it broke after firing because I didn't attach it really well. And I tried 2 different glazes on this, right? The clear cracker glaze, and I love how dark the color came out, right? Surprisingly, this is a successful happy accident. And you can see the blue cracker clay didn't come out as well, but it also kind of darkened the clay, the brown clay, a little bit. So this has this like uneven, melty, almost like metal-like surface to it. Interesting. This is slightly interesting. Yeah. And also the cube version of it. So that's my entire batch of work. This is like a month of work that I've done here, and that's how that is, right? I realize I've been yapping for the past 20 minutes and my mic wasn't even on. But it's a good thing that the built-in mic capture, so the sound quality might be a bit different. And yeah. So thoughts on how I'm feeling so far? I don't know. I think that's a huge part of me, of being a perfectionist and having high expectations for myself, was hoping at least 90% of the works came out exactly how I wanted them to be. But I always realized clay and ceramics, it's really a lot of factors to it that you kind control, and the only way to get the results that I want is through a lot of experimentation and testing. So I don't feel as bad now that I've taken some time to talk through the process and really have a clearer look at the pieces I created. And yeah, I think it's interesting to see this journey. I need to give some credits to myself in terms of like exploring textures and sculpting. I think there's definitely a lot of improvement in some of my techniques. Right, I'm still a far way to go.